All right, so now we're ready to see the second example, and let's just do detect v2. So everything up to this point, from line 3 to line 9 that we should have already seen, right? This is just a show IP route, and I've added in line 11 a list, and within there, there's only have one item within that list, which is 192.168.0.13, which, if you recall, that is the loopback of our NYC Edge R2. And we'll see what we're going to do with it in just a bit. So now that we've done that, and let's look at the first section. The first section is basically just essentially making sure that it still works. So let's execute that. And let's just do detect route v2. And we should be going out there, and as we've seen in the REPL portion, that we'll just get a list of the dictionary keys for our aggregated results, as we've seen that LX core R1 R2, LX core R1 edge R1 R2. So that's expected, and let's take that part out, and let's look at the second portion, which essentially is what we've seen before, but this time we've looped through the devices. We print which device we're putting the output to, and we're looping through, remember it was a multi-part output, so we're just looping through that multi-part output as well. In this case, we're just printing out that output. So let's execute that. And in a bit, we should be able to see all the outputs from the devices. Okay, great. So if you remember, LX Edge R2, that's the show IP route output for that device, and so on, Edge R1 and Core R1 for LX. So let's go ahead and look at the part 3 of our second example. So in the part 3, we're basically getting to the meat of it, right? So now that we've seen the all the outputs, and we're looping through the outputs, and we're in each of the watch routes, we're actually going to check if that route is within that output. We're saying, hey, nice, the route is there. And if the route is not there, then we say, oh no, time to troubleshoot. And remember, we only have one item, just to make it simple. But this item is the loopback for our NYC Edge R2 192.168.0.13. So let's go ahead and execute that for part 3. So we should be able to say, see the route is there, because why wouldn't it be there, right? I mean, everything's functioning correctly. So, okay, nice, the route is there. So let's do a little test, and let's SSH to the 16.1.13 to that device, the NYC Edge R2. And let's do show interface loopback 0. And there we go. That's the loopback. And let's go ahead and shut it down. Interface 0. And let's do shut. And let's make sure show IP route, making sure that 13 is not there. And, because, there might be some propagation time, but it should be minimal. And since we only have a few devices, so let's just go ahead and run it. So if I do detect route change v2, then the route shouldn't be there, and now that is the check we're going to do, right? So now the time is there. It says, oh no time to troubleshoot. So this is basically part 1. We've done something, we've taken an idea, and we're using the underlying command to make it happen. And once that happens, in the next section, we're going to see how do we alert ourselves when this happens. And see you in section 2.